What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Life After Lockup. This is season 5, episode 49. And girl, Zaria and Troy are losers, the biggest losers. But let's get into this review. All right, so let's start off with Bianca and Daniel. So it picks up where it left off, where Bianca's having lunch with her friend Haley, who she picked up from the airport. And come to find out, Haley's only staying in Arizona for a day. I was like, that was a waste of a plane ride. Like, if I got to go through TSA, pack my bags, and get to the airport on time, I'm at least staying at the place that I'm going to for at minimum 3 days. So for her to only be there for a day and then leave is wild to me. But they're sitting down at the restaurant, and I didn't mention this in the last review, but Haley ended up asking Bianca, how do you feel about Daniel? Like, your lease is almost up. Like, do you feel comfortable moving with him and you don't have a ring on your finger? And she's like, no, I don't. Then I think they started talking about like them being intimate, and Bianca reiterates how they don't have protection, but like if she gets pregnant, she's fine with it because she thinks if she gets pregnant, Daniel's gonna give her a ring. And Haley's looking at her like, girl, what? And she was like, you don't think you it's not making sense? Like you're flying too close to the sun, Icarus. Like, why would you think that having a baby would make him propose to you? And Bianca's living in this delusional la la land where she thinks a baby is going to fix her issues. And honestly, Bianca needs to go back to Florida and go to therapy because she still hasn't gotten on the fact that she had a miscarriage. And she's trying to cope with it by forcing this man to give her a baby that clearly she's not mentally ready for. So we then see Haley and Bianca get back to the house, and Daniel is there. Daniel, Bianca, and Haley have a conversation, and we find out that Haley was in a relationship where the guy that she was with also, or the person she was with, because I don't know if they specified if it was a guy or a girl, but her partner relapsed, and that was really hard for her. And then Daniel reveals that he relapsed, and Haley was just like, I know relapsing is hard on you, but it's also hard on the people that's out there rooting for you. And Daniel's like, I'm not going to relapse. Like, that's not an option. And while they're talking, we actually see a on-site confessional from Haley where she was at the restaurant crying, talking about like she just wants this to work out for Bianca because honestly, Bianca could do better. But I think she is putting all her eggs in this one basket. And because a lot of people doubt this relationship, she just wants it to work so badly. And she's like, I want it to work for her as she starts crying. So then it's the next day. It's the day that Haley's supposed to leave. Bianca leaves. I don't know where she was going. I think she went grocery shopping or something. So it just leaves Haley and Daniel in the house. And Haley decides to have a conversation with him where she's just basically like, what's the end goal in this? Like, because on our end, we just see you as someone that wants to use her, that love bombed her and everything. And Daniel admits that like maybe in the beginning he did, but he does really care about her. And granted, he regrets proposing to her, but at the time he thought he was going to lose her. And she's just like, Daniel's just like, but I don't think we're ready to get married or like be in a relationship. And Haley's just kind of like, so why don't you let her go? Because I know Bianca, even if she doesn't think the relationship is working out, she'll be optimistic and do her best to do everything so it will work out. And like she'll keep putting money, keep funneling her time into it because eventually she thinks something's going to break and it's going to work. But she's just kind of like, you just need to let her go. So Daniel in his confessional says he'll let Bianca go when he stops believing in their relationship. Clearly he stopped believing in it because as the YouTuber called According to Amber, I see her videos pop up from time to time, but she is one of the YouTubers I think that keeps up with the Love After Lockup people beyond the show. And it seems like Daniel cheated on Bianca and got him a new girlfriend and they no longer together. So I guess it stopped working for him and he moved on. Hopefully Bianca back in Florida. So let's talk about Melissa and Louie. I think Melissa and Louie is a perfect example of how people projecting onto your relationship can be detrimental for yourself, as well as not everybody that is your friend, you should be listening to their advice. Because you see Melissa, her sister, her friend, Fran, and Louie's mom leave the bridal shop. And so Melissa is walking with Fran, and Fran is like, it was nice to see your sister, but Louie's mom is a lot. And Melissa's like, see, I told you. So then Fran is like, me and your sister were talking about how we're wondering, how did Louie get the money for the ring? And your sister thought maybe that the ring might be fake. Like, do you have insurance on it? Because like you already wearing it, you need to have insurance on it. And she was like, no, I don't have insurance on it. And her friend's like, well, let's go get it appraised. So they go to a different jeweler. They walk in, they meet the guy who's the jeweler, and he asked them like, so what are you doing here? They were like, we want to get the ring appraised. And they explained to him that like, he just got the ring. We're just trying to make sure that it's like real or whatnot. So the guy is doing his work, trying to make sure that the ring is real. It turns out the ring actually was $24,000. So Louie did get a discount, because if you remember when he went to the other jewelry shop to actually get the ring, they discounted it to, I think, like 18,000, maybe like 18,500. And so she's like, oh my gosh, so it really is real. So then the guy was like, okay, I'll be right back. Just give me a minute. I just want to clean the ring and make sure it's all good, and I'll get you your paperwork. So Melissa's like, oh my God, like he really spent that much money on me. Like, he really thinks I'm worth all of that. That's crazy. So then Fran, hating outside, is like, well, I work like 3 jobs, because Melissa is like, Fran is like, so where do you get the money from? And she's like, well, he works 3 jobs. And Fran, doing her on-site confectional outside, is like, well, I work 3 jobs and I ain't never saved like that. And Melissa's like, well, he's been out of jail for almost like 2 years, and I feel like that's enough time to save. And I'm like, also, you don't know how much money he had saved before going into prison. Who knows? Maybe Louie saved some of his drug dealing money. We don't know. But now she's just kind of like, wow, like he really spent that much money. So then the jeweler comes back and he's like, so there's a bit of an uh-oh. And they're like, what do you mean an uh-oh? And he's like, well, normally when we get rings that cost this much and you get them from a reputable jeweler, they're supposed to be like, I guess, a insignia confirming that it's like legit inside of the band of the ring, and it's like normally illegal for you to sell them without that. And they're like, illegal? And Fran is like, yeah, illegal. And he's like, well, I'm not saying illegal in the sense of like he's gonna get arrested or anything. It's just like in our practice, like you're not supposed to sell rings without it. But honestly, he can call and get them to verify and he'll be good to go. So he was like, here's the paperwork to let you know that it is $24,000. So once you put insurance on it, if it gets stolen or anything, you can get the money for it. So Fran and her are leaving. Now Melissa is all worked up like, I don't know what that means. I don't know if he got this ring from a legit place. And I'm worried because Louie's on probation for 10 years. And if he makes one wrong move, he gonna get caught up and I'm gonna lose him. And I don't want to do that. And I'm just like, see, Melissa looks crazy to me, because I'm just like, why don't you trust him? Like, you really don't trust him that much, but yet you want to marry him. So we actually see Melissa have a conversation with Louie, and she was like, don't get mad at me. And he was like, so what did you do? And she was like, well, I went bridal shopping. The girls were saying maybe the ring wasn't real and that maybe I should get insurance on the ring, And so I went to an appraiser and they said that it was $24,000, but it's missing this seal to confirm that it's actually legit. So I'm just wondering, did you get it from a reputable place? Like, did you get it out of a truck? And Louie is offended because he's like, girl, are you serious? He was like, I would never do that to you. He was like, I'm not going to be in trouble because I have the paperwork and I have the receipt of how much I spent on this ring. And you really thought that, like, you think that less of me? Like, so, like, I don't even know. Like, for real, Melissa, for real? And so Melissa's like, well, no, like, don't be mad. Like, he was like, no, all you see me as is as a felon, because why would you just assume that I would do you like that? So he gets up and, like, walks back, like, into the house. She's rushing after him. And I was like, see, girl, you gonna mess up your own relationship because you're listening to your miserable ass friend. And normally I don't call the girls miserable or bitter or anything like that, but it's just like, it would be one thing if Louie was showing signs of like cheating on Melissa or being shysty. Now, if Louie was acting like Joey, I'd be all here for the sister and friend. But it seems like Louie has been legit and been on the up and up for the past 2 years and is really striving to be the best person he can be. And so for them to like try to belittle him and like downplay that, I think is lame. And I also think it shows that they're not really happy in their situation, because I'm like, friend, do you have a husband? Do you have a, I don't know, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a significant other? Does your sister have the same? Because if not, shut up. So let's talk about Tennie and Rob. So we see the kids and Rob outside eating breakfast, and next thing you know, his mom pulls up, and we find out that Tennie is actually working at her paralegal job. She says that she actually missed work. Like she feels like the old her is kind of coming back, like she's gaining some sense of independence. But while she's at work, she can access the cameras that are in the backyard. So she gets on the camera and she sees Rob's mom and his brother pull up to the house, and she's irritated because she don't like his mama. The mama don't like her. And on one hand, I understand Tennie where she's like, you didn't ask me if she could come over there. That's my house. But on the other hand, I'm like, that's also his mom, and he also pays for that house as well. So he should be able to invite his mom over, especially if he's trying to like mend fences with her. So we see Kate. Kate already has a nasty attitude, in my opinion, where she's just like, I didn't want to be here, but he kept calling me and like over and over again. So I was like, okay, at least he's making an effort. And I feel like if you don't want to be there, then don't be there. If you don't want to be in your son's life, or you don't want your son in your life, then say that. But trying to act like he needs to do all these things in order to gain you back is comical. When he was in prison, you didn't even take the time to come see him, but you sure did expect him to give you money. You're lame as well, Kate. So they see her, the kids see her, and they're kind of shocked, but she immediately apologizes to them. They like, okay, it's cool, it's all right. And then they sit down. His brother's actually really cute. So they sit down at the table. The brother ends up saying he ain't seen Rob in a long time. And I was like, whose fault is that? Are you not reaching out? Like, I feel like it's crazy that they expect him to go above and beyond to like be there for them, but they won't do the same for him. Like, it's unequal. So as they're sitting there, Rob is just like, so how you been? Small talk. And then they're talking about their situation. The mom, you can tell, is still money hungry, because it's a Freudian slip where she's like, you know, I see you got this new family you taking care of, but you're not taking care of your own family, which is like, you're worried about the money. That's all it is. Rob's mom is still mad about, I think when he gave Tennie the $500 to give to his mom, and then she asked Tennie to take it back, that's where she got issues with it. So he's like, you know, I'm trying to get my life back in order, Mom. Like, it's going to take some time. Like, give me a moment. Give me a chance. He said the real issue is like the fight that you and Tennie had. Like, it should have never went down like that. Where Rob is wrong is that I don't think Rob saw Tennie mush his mama, because his back was turned to her when he got in between them, and he saw Tennie like shove her arm up, but I don't think he saw her make contact with the mom's face, because Rob is saying that the mom put her hands on Tennie first, but that's not what happened. Tennie put her hands on his mama first, and Kate freaked out, and you know, she popped Tennie back, and then it got real. And Tennie's watching this on the camera, and she's like, get her, Rob. Like, yes, she is crazy, because then the mom gets really angry at the fact that Rob is saying that she is the one that initiated the fight. She's slamming on the table, beating on it, knocking over water, knocking over glasses. She was like, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. You all only care about her. And you know what? I never did that to her. The kids can hear it. So I'm like, you came in the house saying you're sorry just to exhibit the same erratic behavior. And she was like, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm done with it. So she storms back in the house crying, and she leaves. And I don't know if Tennie blacked out and doesn't remember that she mushed the mom in the face, or if she's just that low down that she is going to allow Rob to like fight on her behalf, saying that she didn't put her hands on that lady first, when there's clear evidence that you mushed that lady first. All I know is Rob's mom is money hungry, and she really doesn't care about her son. She's just mad that she's not getting the money that she used to give. Tennie needs to take responsibility for her part that she played in this, and also get over herself. Like, it is what it is. That's his mama. If he wants to have a relationship with her, then either you step back and allow them to have this relationship, or you encourage them to go to therapy. Either way, you shouldn't be putting in your 2 cents, and you just need to own the fact that you mushed that lady first. So let's talk about loser ass Zaria and Troy. So we find out that Troy never made it to the train station to pick up his mom or his daughter, that they got back on the train and went back to, I think, Buffalo. And Troy, now with that realization, is like pouting and stomping through the church parking lot, trying to get away from Zaria. Zaria's yelling like, Troy, where are you going? And he was like, I'm so pissed. He's in his confessional being like, my daughter's not here. She was supposed to be here. And it's my anniversary and I'm fighting with Zaria. Like, I can't. So then he walks back into the parking lot. Zaria gets into her car and Troy is like weirdly standing in front of the car, like mean mugging her like a 3-year-old that wants a cookie, and the mom just said no. And she's like, don't look at me. Why are you looking at me like that? So then he turns his back to her and sits on the hood of the car. She gets out the car and she's like, Troy, it's our anniversary. It's community day. Like, why are you acting this way? And he's like, why are you acting this way? You've been in a foul mood since this morning. And now my daughter's not here. Like, are you serious? And she's like, well, I can't do anything about that. But like, you were texting other people this morning, other women. And he's like, you don't even know who I was texting. So you're assuming I was texting other women. You don't know who I was texting. So why are you thinking it's other women? And she was like, well, Troy, this and Troy. And then I don't know how they came to some type of resolution, but she I think half-heartedly apologizes to him about her behavior and just wanting community day to work because they need 50 kids from the community to sign up. And someone pointed it out to me that it's like, in the beginning, weren't they saying that the grant was supposed to be helping people who are like ex-felons in the community for mental health services? Why are they now pivoting to trying to get 50 kids signed up for grant funding? So does that mean that Project Help is being turned into something else, or is this just for a storyline? But I'm like, if it was for a storyline, y'all really committed by buying them purple t-shirts. So they get it together where she walks away. She's like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. Then they're in the confessional where she's like, I take full responsibility for why baby Troy isn't here. I shouldn't have reacted in this way. And but I love my husband and we'll just get through it. And he's like, I love you too, baby. So they start passing out dry hot dogs and hamburgers to the community. And when I tell you, I was so disgusted by both Troy and Zaria. And that's why I was like, they're such losers, is because if Troy really wanted his daughter to be there at community day, nothing Zaria would have done that day would have stopped him from seeing his child. He either would have got an Uber, a Lyft, an actual taxi. There's so many different rideshare services other than Uber and Lyft that he could have taken. Heck, he could have got on the city bus. I know the city bus probably goes to the train station because most do. And I'm like, I don't know how far the subway goes out. Probably not that far in Syracuse, but I was like, there is public transportation. So the fact that you didn't do everything you could, heck, you could have even told production, I'm not going to film if somebody doesn't help me go get my daughter. Unmic me, I'm not filming for the rest of the day until one of y'all gets into this van and takes me to the train station so I can pick up my child. It's that simple. And Zaria's a loser because this is the second time we've seen her cause an argument with Troy or freak out this badly when it's him going to see his child. And Yana has every right not to let her daughter around that lady or to let Troy be around her child without her being there, because Troy doesn't have the balls enough to stand up to his wife and check her when her behavior is deplorable. Because I'm just kind of like, Zaria gives the type of vibe that she would treat that baby badly just because she doesn't like Yana. And all this, because I've seen it online where people are like, oh, well, Zaria and Troy are saying that it's an edited show and this is it, this and that. No, they can only edit what you give them. So if you don't act out of pocket, you don't act wild, you don't act crazy, they can't edit it in a way where it doesn't make sense. You showed your complete yellow, bumpy faced ass and got what you got. And now everybody hates you. And the thing about it is, to crash out for a WeTV check is sick. Okay. So it's the next day, and we find out that Yana, I guess, drove down to have a conversation with Troy. So Troy and Zaria are meeting Yana at the park. Mind you, this was just supposed to be a one-on-one conversation with Yana and Troy. But since Troy is a loser and can't do nothing by himself, he ends up having to bring Zaria because she says she got to be there. So you hear him kind of trash talking Yana in the car. And honestly, he's only doing that because it makes Zaria feel good about herself. So they get to the park. Yana pulls up and Troy's like, where's my daughter? And Yana's like, she's not with me. You need to properly apologize to her. And he's like, well, you told me you were bringing her, so why is she not here? And she's like, well, you know what? First of all, I'm not about to have this conversation in front of your wife. Like, until we can create a solid foundation for co-parenting alone, I don't think you need to have anybody else here in this conversation. So then he gets an attitude and was like, Yana, where's my daughter? And he was like, you said she was going to bring you, brought her, she's in the car. So you see him walk towards the car, and Yana was like, you need to get your husband. Like, and she was like, that's a grown man. I'm not going to get him to do anything. And I'm like, ugh. Punch her in the face, Yana. Just mug her. Just mug her one good time. Because Zaria thinks she hot shit, and she's not. She's totally not. She's such a loser. And so Troy walks up to Yana's car. I don't know if baby Troy is in there, because when they did the trailer for the next episode, it sounded like he was telling them to open the car door. Who knows? But that's where their scene ends. So let's talk about Justine and Michael. So it's getting closer and closer to her due date. She's ready to have her baby. She was like, it's getting to the point where it's hard to breathe. When she's walking up the stairs, the kids got to push her up the stairs. And we see that, like, since this is a high risk pregnancy, she's been at the doctor's at least like 10 times in a month. So she's just ready for all of this to be over. So the doctor calls her to the back of the room. They lay her down to do the ultrasound. And the doctor says, well, she got a call from, I can't remember. She says, I don't know if she said emergency or something, where they were a little concerned because it seems like the baby isn't growing. Like, the baby just seems small, but everything else is developed, like the brain, the lungs, and everything. But it's just the weight of the child is small. And I guess because she's high risk, and because her having kids so close in age, like baby Manhattan won't even be a year old before she has this baby. The doctor was saying that because your uterus is so weak, that the placenta can sometimes fuse with the uterus, and then the baby is not getting its nutrients, and then what could happen is that the baby could either be born a stillborn or could have severe complications when it comes time to have the baby. So next thing you know, Justine gets emotional because she's starting to feel like the weight of everything, saying that, you know, she doesn't feel like she's been doing a good job, because I think the doctor was like, well, so far you've been doing a great job. And she was like, I don't feel like I have been. And so she starts crying. Michael's trying to console her. The doctor basically suggests that instead of them waiting for the 38 weeks, that they actually bump it up to like her having her baby 2 weeks early. And they were like, we'll have everybody there just in case we have to take the baby to the NICU, and we have to make sure that you don't have postpartum hemorrhage, because that's really the issue, that like her cesarean scar may not heal. Because this will be probably Justine's like 5th or 4th C-section, the doctor is very concerned. No, I think it would be her 5th, because she already has her daughter that's in college, the 2 boys, and then baby Manhattan. Yeah, this is her 5th C-section. And so the doctor is stressed because they're pretty much like, it might be a long time before your scar heals. But she definitely decides that she wants to get her tubes taken out. So she starts crying. The doctor is trying to console her. Michael's trying to console her, but he's like, you know, it's time for us to call your mom. Like, my mom is here, but you need to tell her that, like, yo, you might be having this baby like tomorrow. You know? And then Michael says in his confessional that like Justine is still in like single mother mode, where she's like, I did it this way, so we have to do it this way. And it's like, you have help, because the doctor also explains to her that like after having this baby, you're not going to be able to pick up your daughter or like do any type of heavy lifting. And so she starts crying because she's like, I'm already missing out on being able to hold her and pick her up the way that I want to do her now. And now this with the new baby, it's too much. So she ends up calling her mom. She doesn't really want to. And she's like, Mom, I have an emergency and I wanted to know if you could get here like tonight. And her mom is like, what kind of emergency, Justine? Being really aggressive and not like, and here's the thing. I know a lot of people see Justine and Michael as childish. They very much are. They act like 16-year-olds and they're both like, I think like 36. So I get it. But there's a type of energy that her mom has that seems very dismissive and belittling that like I wouldn't want to ask that lady for nothing. And I also understand that Justine's mom, that's what the streets are saying, pays for that house. And cool, she pays for the house, so they should have told her. But there's just this energy with that lady that like I wouldn't want to be around her either. But I do feel like Justine should have specified what the emergency was. Like, hey, I'm about to have this baby, and like this might be the last time I see you, so please get here. But then Justine goes on about how every time she has had a baby, her mom has ruined it. When she had her daughter, she was 17, and her mom kicked the guy that was the baby's father out of the birthing room. And I was like, how can you do that? Like, that's his child. Then she said when she was having her second baby, her son, her oldest son, she wouldn't come into the birthing room if the child's father was in there. Then when she had her last baby, well, not her last baby, the third child, she was like, her mom pretty much forced her to walk to the hospital, and then she wasn't there for Manhattan, and she's like, now I honestly don't want her here now. And then when Justine was like, I just want my mom to make me feel like I'm good enough, and she never does that, so I don't even know why I asked her to be here. I mean, hopefully the lady come, because I'm like, if Justine does die, you gonna be feeling like an asshole that you didn't go check on your child. But I do feel like Justine should have explained to her mom like what was up. So let's talk about dumbass Kim and Joey. So Joey leaves the house and he comes back and he's able to walk into the house. I said, if I was Kim, I would have locked all the doors and pushed furniture in front of them doors where he couldn't get into the house. Like, there would be no way he could get into the house. And then the next day, I would have changed the locks. I would have tracked where that car is because, you know, she put an air tag in the car. And then I would have got it repoed because I'm not playing with you, bro. I would have left that man destitute. Don't play with me. And so Joey sleeps on the couch. Kim sleeps in her room. And she's telling production how last night was really hard for her, that she tossed and turned the whole entire night, and that like she's been going through it. So Joey and her in the kitchen kind of having a stalemate, kind of standoff kind of situation. And Joey basically lets her know that he went and got another drug test. And so she's like, what are you trying to say, that you don't believe that one was real or that it was faulty? And he was like, yeah. So he's like, you know, I'm ready to go take it. So he goes and takes it and it comes back clean. And she was like, Joey, I don't believe this because what you tested positive for, which was that cocaine, she was like, I Googled and it says that it stays in your system for at least like 3 days. And Joey's like, well, I know people that, you know, they smoke a little bit of weed and it stays in their system for 2 months. Like, what we talking about? And so she's like, Joey, I don't know if I believe this. She was like, you be lying to me. I don't trust you. He was like, Kim, I don't want to make you mad. If I would have known that the test was he was like, I wouldn't have taken the initial test, the first test, if I was going to come up dirty. And I'm like, I don't believe that. I do not believe that. So Joey's like, well, you got to trust me, Kim. Like, you got to give me. She was like, well, I don't trust you. You haven't given me a reason to trust you. You be leaving the house you be gone for hours. You acting like somebody that's higher than a giraffe head right now. Like, what's going on? And so Joey's like, well, you know, sometimes I just go to the store and just sit in the parking lot or go wash the car. And I'm like, but you don't got no job. What happened to get a job? What happened to get a job, sir? I can't. I can't. I can't. So she kind of accepts it for what it is, which was wild to me because I'm just like, girl, you like being lied to and played in the face with. So next thing you know, we have this scene of Kim dropping Joey off at the courthouse, and she, you know, they're saying goodbye to each other. And I think it's been like 3 months or maybe like a whole entire month since we seen them last. And so she's driving and she starts crying in the car because she's like, he's gonna miss everything. Like he's gonna miss, I guess her youngest child going to kindergarten for the first time, her other child's birthday and her birthday. And she is like, when I tell you breaking down in the car, ugly, crying and all. And what we found out is that Joey popped up dirty. He failed three of his drug tests while he was going to visit his PO. And she says that it's because he took Delta 9 and the THC, was like alerted on the test, and that's like a gray area because technically Delta 9 and like Delta 8 and stuff like that and CBD oil and CBD pills and stuff is like legal in North Carolina. I'm like, I feel like Kim is lying. I feel like he popped up with something else because I'm just like, I don't think they would send him to rehab because he popped up dirty for THC from a Delta 9 gummy. I feel like it was harder drugs because they gave him the option, either you go back to jail or you do this 90-day rehab program. So I feel like it was something more. So then it's been a week since Kim dropped him off, and we see that they got the house that she really wanted. So she's in the house putting up furniture, talking about that, she need a man here to help her put her stuff together, asking the kids if they like their new house. We then see her cousin Tatum come over, and Tatum's like, girl, where's Joey? Where your husband at? Where your man at? And they're in her bedroom. Mind you, Kim got all these pictures of her and Joey posted everywhere. I hate when girls do that. It's so cringy. Like, there's one thing to have like a picture wall, but to have all these types of pictures of you and this man spread it throughout your house is so like juvenile to me. But Tatum's like, girl, where's Joey? And Kim is just like, he's in rehab. And Tatum's like, girl, what? And she's like, well, he popped up dirty because of the CBD, the THC, because he was taking Delta 9. And Tatum is kind of looking at her like, girl, I don't know if that's true. So Tatum was like in her on-site confessional that she's actually not surprised that Joey popped up dirty because she was like, she didn't expect him to last that long. So while Tatum is helping Kim get stuff together, she basically is like, so what do the boys think? And Kim reveals that the boys have been acting out since Joey has left. They basically are telling the kids that Joey is on some like work trip. They have started to call him dad before he left. So now they feel like their father, another father figure left them. I said, girl, just traumatizing your kids. Just traumatizing your kids. So Tatum ends up telling Kim, like, a real man would have stepped up, been here for you. And she's like, I feel like you think that there's only one man out there for you. Like, there's other options for you, Kim. And Kim's like, no, I want Joey. I really love him, and I think he loves me. Like, he wouldn't be going through all of this if he didn't love us. And Kim ends up having to say, like, it's mandatory. Either he goes to rehab or jail, but, if he went to jail, he could get drugs. I say, girl, you sound stupid trying to justify this. So then Tatum is like, well, what about the DNA test? Did you get the results? And she was like, yeah, I got them, but I haven't looked at them. And Tatum's like, girl, go get the envelope so I can read it. So Kim gets up and she's like, I'm afraid that if I tell him the news, it's going to make him relapse because it's like nobody wins. Because Kim is worried that if it does show up that Joey is one of her son's fathers, she going to have to pay her ex-husband back $20,000 in child support, and we know she don't got it because she had to beg her daddy for $7,000 for a down payment on the house. So, and she feels like if Joey isn't the father, he's gonna relapse. I said, I don't think that's gonna happen, and if he tries to use that as an excuse, he's a loser. But this cousin opens up the envelope and we don't get to see the results. I don't think Joey is the father. I'll actually be surprised if he is. So yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in the comments below and share your thoughts, as well as like and subscribe if you like what you heard. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.